What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all well, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. So, now that we went ahead and cleaned out the forest of the werewolf curse and got the Dalish on board, we do have a couple things to do. We have a couple quests to go back into the forest for, and we do also have a little goodie to pick up from Varathorn here.
Our armaments will be
I would be remiss if I didn't point this out. I'd like to barter with you.
I am no merchant, but I have plenty that you may need.
So, now that we're done with this quest line, he has a backpack. There it is. An extra 10 slots for us. We are now at 120, which is very well off for us. He will have some... Indeed. Yes, he does. He has tomes, too. So, yeah, now we're very well off here. We have lots of fun things to do. And I've got to make a decision on who I'm going to give those tomes to, but we're not going to worry about that right now. I'll decide that later. Get our traditional level ups first, and we are going to head back into the forest. The reason why we're going back into the forest is we have a sign of safe passage, which is go to the location marked in the Brecilian Forest and use a bow to fire a message arrow across the treetops. And the other reason we are going in here is thy brother's killer. Travel to the Brecilian Forest and slay the cabal of Maleficarum. Now that we have cleaned all this out of the wolves, we'll be able to do both those quests. And then we'll be done pretty much with the Brecilian Forest. We will have to come back here for Wynne.
You were the Grey Warden who broke the curse. I demand to know what happened to the werewolves. Where did they go?
Excuse me. They're no longer werewolves. The curse was broken.
That makes no difference. Those monsters killed my husband. They killed so many of my people. They have Dalish blood on their hands. If they are human once more, that shall make it all the easier to take vengeance for their crimes. Tell me where they are.
That's not going to happen. I'm not going to tell you that.
I see. So you side with murderers, do you? You draft into your ridiculous war, but the true criminals are allowed to run free as if they never did anything wrong. If I cannot have their blood, then I will have yours. In the name of the god of vengeance, Elgarhan, I demand justice!
That's not going to be how this goes, and it's your own fault. Everything that's about to happen is on you. She just couldn't let him go. She's cut from the same cloth as Zevran. I understand that her husband is dead, but what she needs to understand is that's more Zethran's fault than the wolves. Like, which wolf is the one responsible for that? Is it one of the rabid ones? Was it Swiftrunner? Which wolf took the life? Are you just gonna go hunt down every human that was ever involved in the Brecilian Forest because of that? Just not knowing which one it is, so kill them all. I mean, I already killed hundreds of wolves on my way to, not Swiftrunner, sorry. On my way to the main wolf in the first place, I killed hundreds of wolves, so for all we know, they could already be dead. She's just not good enough for her, she wants more. No, we won't be doing that. We won't be going through the woods, hunting down innocent humans. It's not gonna be how that works. And she could have just walked away and looked for them herself. She's perfectly okay to go hunt them down herself if she wishes. I can't stop her from doing that. But that wasn't enough for her. She had to get me to do it, and then immediately she wanted blood because I said no, because I wouldn't assist her in killing people. Well, everything that happened there is on her. It's not my problem, ultimately. This is the spot where Dee's message needs to be sent. Leave until you have a bow equipped. My mistake? How about now? Fire an arrow over the trees. The message has been sent. It has not gone unnoticed.
Right. You've made some important enemies with your little arrows. You're through.
Warden senses tingling.
Somehow, I don't think that's how this is gonna go for you either, friend. Get our swords back on. Morrigan, if you'd be so kind as to pop a Mind Blast here.
Down you go.
And then kindly walk out of the middle of the fray. Wynne, I'd like you to do that as well. We're gonna pop... Actually, Wynne, let's get a taste of haste, shall we? Back it with momentum.
As you wish.
I am here.
Weapons at the ready. Excellent.
It actually didn't seem like we were attacking fast at all. It looked like we were attacking very slow, actually. Okay, so maybe haste is not all it's cracked up to be. Let's get rid of that. We did get the level.
This should be easy enough.
I think maybe because I had momentum equipped too, it just
As you
broke the
wish.
buff and made it slow. Got a folded missive from this guy. By order of Emir Thorogood. There'll be in notes, I suspect. Or quest related. By order of Emir Thorogood, we know they are out there, and they will move when their fellow vermin call them out. Watch for the sign and slaughter the lot. They will know it is coming and probably abandon the poor sap of a messenger. But even in that, our message will be sent with an authority theirs cannot have, by order of Emir Thorogood. Well, that didn't work out too good for your man. Should have maybe reconsidered that one. Let's take a look at our level up. So at this point, we have 34 cunning, 38 dexterity. It's all going really well. We'll do 2 cunning, like I said, and then we'll do 1 willpower. Just go 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Eventually, that's just going to be insanely up there. What do we have left here? Well, I guess we'll just keep going up for survival, because it is going to give us a passive resistance to nature and physical, so that'll help us somewhat in the long run. Feast of the Fallen. The assassin thrives on the moment of death. Stamina is partially restored whenever the assassin fells an opponent with a backstab. We will of course take that. And now that we know what we're cooking with, let's actually go down here and grab one of these. So this gives us a skill point, and this gives us attributes. Now I don't want to use the attributes for my character, but I do want the skill point. The reason I want that is because now we have maxed out nature resistance. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
What?
Who are we going to give the points to? Alistair could maybe benefit from it. Wouldn't hurt to give it to Morrigan. I'm going to hold off on spending that skill point one, just until I see what my other companions have in their skill attributes. I think Sten maybe might benefit from that the most. I know a lot of things require 42 strength sometimes, so we'll go give him that book, I think. Get him closer to using the heaviest armor that we have. Now, we've already been to the place where that little Maleficar ritual is. If you remember the first gravestone we actually hit, where the 2 augurs were, that is where the Maleficar are doing their little ritual, so that's where we're going to go and cut all their heads off. Make the world a better place. After we get done here, I was thinking maybe we would go back to camp and check out the gifts we have collected over this journey. See if we have any dialogue with our companions. You already see the Maleficar on the map. It's a great place for a blood ritual. Oh, this is actually not the Maleficar. It seems like these guys took over the bandit camp. That's a lot of archers. Okay. Let's be careful here. Let's make sure we're doing everything correctly. Love messy kills. And you see our stamina staying up nice and high now. Which means we're always going to have the ability points we need to spam our stuff. Which is very cool.
Let's get started.
Would definitely recommend the Feast of the Fallen ability. Too bad we didn't bring Duke. He could have peed on the Hermit's tent, even though he's dead. And put some disrespect on it. Accurately fits my view of blood mages. We already checked the tree stump. There's nothing in there. Here are the blood mages.
You are not welcome here.
I am here on behalf of the Mages Collective.
Doing the Templars' dirty work for them, eh? Templars or mages, it means nothing to us. There is dark power here, and you won't stand in our way.
The irony of all this is they're likely all about to just instantly die to this.
Warden senses danger.
Yes, like I said, he lived at 1 HP.
Too easy.
Thank you, Morrigan. That is the benefit of Mana Clash. Just the instant nuke of all things mage. And that's going to be it for the Brecilian Forest. I believe that is all we needed to do inside here, so then we can head back to camp. We do have both those quests to turn in. They're both back in Denerim, but I'm not sure if I want to risk the crashes to head back there and turn those. And we'll save that for another episode where I have a little more time on my hands. I don't feel like having to save scum every 2 seconds to turn that in. We might even get accosted by somebody when we first head back to camp. Somebody should have something for us dialogue-wise. I wonder, can we just fast travel out of here like this? We can't. We gotta run our asses all the way back. We gotta go all the way back to the Dalish camp. Alright, so we have a little time here to run and shoot the shit, hang out a little. I'm actually surprisingly close to finishing this game already. In terms of main locations we have left, or like sections of the main quest, we only have the Paragon of her kind, which is of course Orzammar, which is a giant section. And then we have the Isle of Redcliffe, which is somewhat short. We are going to have to go to a new location to get that done, but ultimately it's like 3-4 locations left of the main story. We're definitely getting there. This is episode 36, which is crazy, by the way, that I'm on 36 episodes of Dragon Age Origins. I wanted to make a series on this game for so long, and it just never happened for this or that reason. And now that I'm here, it just feels good. I have a lot of love for this game. Feels good to be finally making some content on it. Content that I'm proud of, too, because I've taken a crack at this a couple times.
I understand we will be joining you in battle as soon as the
And it's never really met my expectations. I've always ended up just abandoning it because
So you know
it didn't feel good.
I believe what I heard was that you were not, in fact,
On it.
a Templar.
I would look back at the episodes ready to upload and I would just be like, you know what, I don't like this. I could have done better. But this time, I don't feel like I could be doing better. I feel like this is really good. Well, you can always do better, but you get the sentiment. You see the Darkspawn blight is really spread out now. The entire Kakari Wilds is gone and it's starting to push up into the Banon past Lotharen. Alrighty, here we are back at camp. Let's get some conversations. Go ahead and spread out and talk to everybody. You have anything for us, Alistair?
Something on your mind?
I have some questions.
Of course.
What changes about you after the join-in?
You mean other than becoming a Grey Warden?
You've been a Grey Warden longer than I have.
You know, I asked Duncan this too, and all I got was, "You'll see."
He wouldn't tell you.
Oh, it's not that Duncan wants to keep it secret, it's just that the Grey Wardens don't discuss it much. I gather it's not a pleasant topic. The first change I noticed was an increase in appetite. I used to get up in the middle of the night and raid the castle larder. I thought I was starving. I'd slurp down every dinner like it was my last. My face all covered in gravy. When I'd look up, the other Grey Wardens would stare, then laugh themselves to tears.
So it was a joke.
More like an initiation. They all
Rite
went
of
through it,
passage.
Oh, and then there were the nightmares. Duncan said it was part of how we sense the Darkspawn. We tap into their, well, I don't know what you call it, their group mind. And when we sleep, it's even worse. You learn to block it out after a while, but at first it's hard. It's supposed to be worse for those who join during a blight. How is it for you?
I've had some strange dreams.
Some people never have much trouble, but that's rare. Others have trouble sleeping their entire life. They're just more sensitive, I suppose. Everyone ends up the same, though. Once you reach a certain age, the real nightmares come. That's how a Grey Warden knows his time has come.
His time has come.
Oh, that's right. We never had time to tell you that part, did we? Well, in addition to all the other wonderful things about being a Grey Warden, you don't need to worry about dying from old age. You've got 30 years to live, give or take. The Taint, it's a death sentence. Ultimately, your body won't be able to take it. When the time comes, most Grey Wardens go to Orzammar and die in battle rather than waiting. It's tradition.
Yeah, we read about that a lot. The Warden Commander Asterion actually went and did his little call-in into the Deep Roads. Basically, the Blight and the Taint starts to take over your mind so bad you have waking nightmares. You don't really know what's going on anymore. You can constantly hear the Darkspawn whispering in the back of your head. That's when you know it's your time to go. Die honorably for the cause, taking out as many Darkspawn as you can before your end. Why Orzammar?
You'll always find Darkspawn down where the dwarves are. The oldest Grey Wardens head to the Deep Roads for one last glorious battle. Not that there's a shortage of Darkspawn during a Blight, but that's the tradition. The dwarves respect us for it. And you wondered why we kept the joining a secret from the new recruits. And there you have it.
I never wondered that. I understand.
You know, Duncan, he started having the nightmares again. He told me that in private. He said it wouldn't be long before he'd go to Orzammar himself. I guess he got what he wanted. I just wish it had been something worthy of him.
He died pretty well. I think ultimately. He died defending the land and his king. He will be remembered, Alistair. As will the others.
I know. Ending the Blight should make this all worthwhile, right?
Aye aye. Right, Sten, what do you have for us?
You called.
I did. I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Do you find Ferelden very strange?
To put it lightly, no one has a place here. Your farmers wish to be merchants. The merchants dream of being nobles, and the nobles become warriors. No one is content to be who they are.
Don't the Canary ever want to change their lot in life?
What does that accomplish? The farmer who buys a shop is never a merchant. He is always a farmer turned merchant. He carries his old life with him as a turtle carries its shell.
But that makes the turtle stronger.
Does it? It's also his weakness. If he stumbles and falls over, it pins him on his back. It is better to armor yourself with no more than what you need. One life, one duty.
I kind of agree with what he's saying here. It must be nice to live in a society where you have one purpose. You know, Sten was put into the Barasard, so he's a soldier. He doesn't have to worry about mercantile things. He doesn't have to worry about cooking. He doesn't have to worry about politics or any of that stuff. He is a soldier. You point him at something, he fights it. He defends his people. That is his entire life, essentially. He is the embodiment of one duty, and that's the way the Canary society works. It must be a little refreshing compared to the rest. I suppose that's true.
Shall we move on?
Is there anything you like about Ferelden?
There is interesting food here. You have a thing. It doesn't have a word in the Kunari tongue. Little baked things like bread, but sweet and crumbly.
Cookies?
Yes, we have no such things in our lands. This should be remedied.
I'll keep that in mind.
Shall we move on?
Of course, by the way, the big stoic soldier likes cookies. You sound a bit homesick.
Perhaps. It's strange to be in a crowd and hear a language that is not your own. To see faces that are and aren't like yours. I miss the smells of Zevran. Tea and incense and the sea. Ferelden smells of wet dogs.
I wanted to discuss something you mentioned.
Speak then.
That's enough for now.
Then I suggest we move on.
Let's go.
As you wish.
Yeah, I like Sten. As you see, he's definitely opened up to us now. We got a +22 for that. Sten is definitely on board with the cause. I don't think there's anything to talk to Morrigan about, but I will check.
Yes?
I don't think she's gonna have much for us until after we take care of Plymouth.
So, full of questions, are you?
Yeah, see, she doesn't have anything for us. That leaves Shale, Leliana, and Zevran, and we also need to go talk to our Dalish friend over there and see what they need for the level ups.
I was just thinking about what happened to the elves, and I'm reminded of a song sung to me many years ago. It was when my mother died, and this wise elven woman comforted me and told me that we shouldn't fear death or hate it. Death is just another beginning. One day, we must all shed our earthly bodies to allow our spirits to fly free.
That's comforting.
It's a beautiful sentiment, I think. One that brings peace and hope to the grieving.
Enjoy, guys. I like to sit back and close my eyes while this section plays out. This is a great wrap up to the little elven arc we just played. Why have a bard in the party if she's never gonna sing, right? You're gonna get a look at how all the companions are reacting to this beautiful song. Callous as always. Sten's enjoying it. Does have a beautiful voice. I'm sure this is gonna make this video get hit with copyright, but honestly, I'll take the L for that. You guys deserve to see this. Very beautiful song. It's actually, they went ahead and made an entire elven language for this game. You can learn the elvish language from this game and totally speak it. It's quite impressive.
I've a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I swore an oath to serve you, yes? And I understand the quest you're on, and this is all very fine and well. My question pertains to what you intend to do with me once this business is over with, as a point of curiosity.
Does your oath expire then?
Not precisely. I said I would serve you until you saw fit to release me. One simply assumes that once your Grey Warden business is finished, you would have no need of an assassin to follow you about. Am I wrong?
I could always use a friend.
Indeed. I might even be glad to call myself such, come to think of it. It is good to know what my options might be, but that is for another time. For now, we have much to do, yes?
Yeah, I don't mind letting him go on his merry way once we're done. He's not a hostage. If he wants to leave, he totally can.
What say you?
I wanted to discuss something personal.
Oh, this should be good. What would you like to discuss?
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
What say you?
Do you have any dialogue, Zevran?
By all means.
What is your opinion of the Dalish?
I know little enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease, and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. Oldest tale in the book.
That's... Yeah, so you're an assassin and the son of a whore? Was the woodcutter your father?
How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear.
That's a grim way to look at your mother dying during birth, your first victim. I'm sorry for you, Zevran.
That's very kind of you to say, but it is not necessary. It could have been much worse. Shall I tell you about what happened to the other whorehouse boys who did not fetch a decent price with the crows? Surely your life has not been so idyllic. People like you and I are not the product of happy lives of contentment, after all.
You can say that again.
My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination for me. Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again.
But how do you feel about the Dalish in general?
I don't feel anything about them. Oh, we heard about them in the city, even deep in Antiva. I even had the notion once to run off and join them. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on.
We actually have some Dalish gloves for him. We already picked those up. Let's talk to Leliana after her little sing-song.
Do you remember our discussion?
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to tell you that I thought about what you told me, and you were right. I didn't want to admit it, even to myself, but those years in Lothering, I yearned for the freedom and the recklessness that I knew in Orlais. The Maker made the world beautiful, but he also made it dangerous. To really experience it, I have to embrace this, not hide away in some nunnery.
I'm glad you've realized that.
Sometimes, it takes another to show us the truths we hide from ourselves.
It was my pleasure.
I'm glad I left Lothering in your company. You have proven a true friend, and I thank the Maker for you.
Indeed.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
Okay, she has no more dialogue for us. What about Wynne? How are you doing over here?
What's on your mind?
As a Grey Warden, I'll never lead a normal life, will I?
No, you won't.
But I don't think I was ever meant to be normal.
I don't think so either. You would not have been happy living a dull, uneventful life, dying in obscurity. You wonder sometimes, don't you? If your life would be better if you weren't who you are.
No, I like my life. It's like we said at the beginning of the game, I was down to be recruited to the Grey Wardens from the jump.
I didn't. Not for a long time. When I was a young woman in the tower, I came to the realization that the circle would be my life, and I would know no other. Family, love, a simple life. These were things that others took for granted, that I would never have.
And this upset you?
It made me very moody. All I could think of was being trapped in that tower with no way out and no end in sight. I started hating my life and myself, and one night I found myself in the tower's chapel. I was seeking refuge, maybe answers.
Did you find anything?
I must have looked tearful or made some noise, because the revered mother came out and decided to speak to me. And because I had no one else to talk to, I talked to her. I must have said many silly things, but she told me that the Maker puts us all on our paths for a reason, and fighting our intended course is what causes so much anguish.
I think she's right.
I thought the old biddy was full of rubbish. I was 15, maybe 16, and I knew everything. So I left, but I always found my way back to that chapel. And as the years passed, I began to see the truth of her words. We were supposed to be polar opposites, mage and priest. But we weren't. There was much about us that was the same.
I suppose priests have to give up a lot too.
The revered mother had lived in the chantry all her life, as I had been in the tower for all of mine. She taught me that you can find your family in the people around you.
Indeed.
That you can love your work and find fulfillment in duty. And there is joy even in self-sacrifice. If you put others before yourself, then their well-being is yours, and their happiness is your happiness.
It won't be easy to live that way.
You can scream and cry and be angry about life as a Grey Warden, or you can accept it and allow yourself to see the good in it. This is your choice.
It's very true. I love talking to Wynne. Wynne has so many cool conversations to be had about morality and philosophy on life and joy and wisdom. She's very cool.
What's on your mind?
Is there something I can do to cure you?
Cure me? What, am I sick now?
In a sense.
Even you know that you cannot cure the dead. And I'm not the only one dying. You are too. I'm just more efficient about it. Ah, child. Your concern is heartwarming. But death comes to everyone, and it is not something to fear.
You're not afraid?
People fear not death, but having life taken from them. Many waste the life given to them, occupying themselves with things that do not matter. When the end comes, they say they did not have time enough to spend with loved ones, to fulfill dreams, to go on adventures they only talked about. But why should you fear death if you are happy with the life you have led? If you can look back on everything and say, yes, I am content. It is enough.
There's so much wisdom in that. Are you content?
I think I've led a good life, a full life, and I, for one, am not afraid of death, whatever it may bring. They say that when you die, your spirit travels through the fade and returns to the Maker. And after that, we'll see, won't we?
The final adventure. Yeah, things like that makes me adore Wynne's character. Do you have any regrets at all?
I try not to dwell too much on the mistakes of my past, of which there are many. I would go quite mad if I did that. But
Hard to imagine you making mistakes.
The greatest misstep of my life, made even more grave because it had dire consequences for someone else.
Tell me. It might make you feel better.
Years ago, I was assigned as mentor to a lad, Anarin. He was my first apprentice. Anarin was an elf, raised in one of the elven alienages, and he was very mistrustful of humans, especially humans in authority.
I can see how this could be trouble.
What Anarin needed was time. Time to get used to his new home, time to emerge from his shell, so we could build a rapport. I gave him no such time. I was young and arrogant. He is a mage, I thought. He needs to grow up and act like one. I expected too much from him too quickly. I gave no consideration to his origin or his feelings, and he retreated further from me. All I could think of was how stubborn he was, how he was throwing away all his talent and his potential just to be difficult.
The wisdom of age clashing with the ignorance of youth. And what did he think of you?
Oh, I dread to think. I was a harsh taskmistress. He might have thought I was a demon in disguise. You cannot plant crops in the cold, wintry ground. You cannot teach a student who is closed off and unresponsive. Patience is what is needed, and I learned that too late to help him.
What happened to Anarin?
Anarin ran away from the circle one night. I had berated him over some trivial, ridiculous matter that I no longer remember. I drove him away because of something utterly unimportant. He was a child, 14 at the time of his leaving. They had his phylactery, and they hunted him down.
Phylactery?
The phylactery is a vial of blood taken from a mage. But blood is connected to life, and your blood can be used to track you down. They called him Maleficar, a mage who practices forbidden magic, deserving of death. He was a child, misunderstood and lost. I begged the Templars to tell me if he suffered, if they gave him a quick death. I got no answers from them. I was his mentor, and they wouldn't even tell me what became of him.
Yeah, the phylactery is a vial of the mage blood that the circle collects upon your induction. And it is so if you ever escape or you're ever out in the tower like Wynne is right now, if you don't go back or check in, they can use that vial of blood to track you. It's not your fault, Wynne.
I should have known better. I had the best mentors. They were kind, compassionate. Why didn't I learn from them? I failed Anarin. All I had to do was listen to him. He would try to talk to me, and I would tell him to concentrate on his spells. He talked about the alienage sometimes, and the Dalish. He always talked about looking for the Dalish elves.
Maybe he did find the Dalish.
The Templars are well trained and thorough. That he still lives, it would be a vain hope. The apprentices that came after Anarin benefited greatly from the lessons I learned from him. In a sense, he was my teacher, and I his student.
See, there is a bright side.
And there it is. My story, my one greatest regret.
Wynne's regret. Now we go to the companion quests here. Help Wynne find closure. Wynne spoke to you about the first pupil she took under her wing, an elf named Anarin. She was quite harsh on him and drove him away from the circle. Anarin spoke often of the Dalish elves and dreamed of finding them. However, Wynne believes that he never managed to find them, and that he was hunted down and killed by Templars. Luckily for us, Wynne, we happen to know where the Ferelden Dalish are, so maybe we'll swing by and ask about that.
You witnessed the rarest of things, Warden. The Dalish stand ready to defend Ferelden.
Do you need anything?
We have assembled on a short schedule. Certain factors of equipment could be better. Crafting components would serve best. Basic ones like elf root and deep mushroom.
Indeed. Now, since we have an unlimited supply of elf root, that's what we're going to be giving them. We're not going to be giving them deep mushrooms, but we are going to give death roots because we have no purpose for them in potions. And we're going to give them the elf roots because we have unlimited stock of them. We could just buy elf root from the Dalish camp and then give it to this war effort, like infinitely. So we're going to have the strongest elven force here possible.
We will make good use of what you have brought us, Warden.
Indeed. You can actually call in all the factions you pick up along the way in the final big battle of the game, so it is worth paying attention to. Now, let's talk to Shale for a second.
It speaks.
It does. I have some questions.
It doesn't have better things to do.
Riley, how did Wilhelm come to acquire you?
That part I know, as Wilhelm often bragged about it to whomever was willing to listen to him. He claimed to have found me in the Deep Roads. I was in the ruins of a Tig, he said, deactivated, with my control rod not far away.
You don't know why you were there?
I think I remember a battle. It was long before, and then there was darkness. Bah, in short, no, I do not remember why I was there. It makes no difference.
What was Wilhelm doing in the Deep Roads?
It was a hobby of his, scavenging. One of the reasons he traveled so much is that he was looking for entrances into the Deep Roads, old places the dwarves had long forgotten. and then he would sneak down and search for magical treasure, before anyone was the wiser.
Wouldn't that have been dangerous? I suppose that's why he had a golem.
Indeed. He had spells that allowed him to remain hidden and move quickly, but he had no defense against the Blight, and worried constantly that he would get sick. If any Darkspawn showed themselves, he fled. More often, he would have to fight other scavengers, dwarfs who had become tainted. In the end, it killed him. I mean, he found me there, right?
Interesting that Shale mentioned dwarves that have been tainted. We actually will run into some of that. So if he hadn't found you...
I wouldn't have had to put up with the twit, and I would be none the wiser. I don't think I was aware while I was there. Not like in the village. Or perhaps I was. Perhaps that was the dark place, and I simply couldn't see anything. How long could even I sit in the darkness and stare out at nothing, never sleeping? Oh, I do not wish to think of that.
Do you know where in the deep roads this was?
No. That secretive bastard refused to tell me. I would ask and ask, but no. He used to say that one day, if I were compliant and didn't talk back at his wife, he would take me there and I could look around myself. Rotten, lying bastard. If I had his head in my hands now, I would squeeze it like a giant lemon. Squish.
And of course, he couldn't help himself talking back to his wife. What did Shale call her? Hag. Alright, guys. I think we're good for now. I'll probably do the gifts and things next episode when we can wrap up some of the companion quests. I'll probably go check out Flemmer's hut too. So that's going to be a wrap for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, there is a tip link in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you guys soon with more Dragon Age Origins. Take care, guys. Have a good day.